All right, today we're going to be going over the object lesson of the 7-layer density column. So this is an example of what it looks like finished. It is taking liquids of different density and pouring them in very slowly into an empty beaker and making these awesome layers. So this could be used for an object lesson about, let's say, stewardship and like, hey, if I'm good with the small things, I'm doing those things well, I can build upon those things to make something really awesome. Or you can, apply this to different things. But it takes a little bit of time and patience and then also a lot of liquids. So we have 7 different liquids here. We have honey, we have corn syrup, we have Dawn dish soap, we have just plain water that's been dyed green, just one because it's fun. And then also you get to see that layer a little bit better in comparison to, let's say, the olive oil or the oil that is in there. And then we also have the rubbing alcohol, which I dyed red. And you just have to mix that around a little bit before doing it. But again, we do that because it's really hard to see the difference between these two liquids right up against each other. And the last liquid that we have is lamp oil. Now this lamp oil came as blue. Some lamp oils do come as a clear liquid, so you would have to dye that a different color. I do suggest blue because it's far enough away from the Dawn dish soap from the top, and it looks really cool, and you can see those defined layers. So the first 4, or I should say 3 layers are our heavier liquids. Now these liquids cannot touch the side of this beaker here, because if you do that, it will actually start to mix up, and we don't want that to happen. We need to pour very slowly, very accurately. So when you're doing this lesson, just take your time with it. It's okay if there is just some silence while you pour, and you can tell the kids that, like, hey, I'm gonna concentrate really hard. Can you concentrate with me as I pour this in, right? As you go through this lesson. So the first one is honey. And again, you're gonna have more than enough honey to fill up your portion of the beaker. So if you see this completely done one, it's like almost like 2 areas, or if you're looking at the designations, it's like 2 areas of measurement so that it's nice and full in your beaker. You could do this with something that's a little wider, but you're going to need more liquids for that. So having a nice cylindrical, skinny thing like this really helps. So again, I'm going to take this nice and slow and just pour this in right in the center as much as possible. And once you hit center, you can go and just pour that a little faster. But you want your audience to be able to see enough liquid at the bottom where it's nice and kind of chunky. All right, almost to that second layer. Okay, and I just turn the heavier liquids just like that. So then again, I'm not getting that heavy liquid on the side because that will mess it up. All right, and then let's take our corn syrup. Now you can see that when I had done this a couple days ago, the corn syrup and honey got mixed in together because I just poured it a little too fast. So again, take it nice and slow. You're going to aim for the center of your beaker. And the slower, the better for your second layer. Because if you don't go slow, it will start to mix, just like I have in that example. All right. So we got 1, and go a little faster now. Okay, there's 2. And again, I'm just going to rotate that so I'm not hitting the side. All right, now you can see those 2 defined layers. All right, here's our last heavy liquid that we're doing. This is the Dawn dish soap. And again, as you think through the lesson, think through how you can talk while pouring, being able to give examples to the kids, and practicals for their everyday life. All right. We got our nice blue layer there. There we go. Cool. Now that we have our heavy liquids out of the way, we're going to add a layer of water. Now this is the tricky one because you're taking water and putting it into dish soap, And you, again, want to go as slow as you can, but you do not have to aim for the middle on this one. So that is really nice. You can just kind of tilt it a little bit and slowly pour in. Now we'll go into the dish soap a little bit. I'm pouring probably a little too fast, but it will separate here. Now I'm going to move that so I can see how fast. Oh dear, I'm going. But just pay attention. All right, see that nice green layer? Okay, you will see that it mixes up a little bit because again, I was going a little too fast, but it will separate out, just like this one did as well. You can see the blue, but then a darker green on top. Okay, we're almost there. So the last liquids, you do need a pipette to put in. So we have our vegetable oil here. And just like a turkey baster, you have to be a little fast, but we're going to put the pipette against the side of the glass so it can slowly go down. And again, if it mixes a little bit, it's not the end of the world. But we're going to, again, take it nice and slow. Let that. Now this is the easy one because oil and water do not mix and they will naturally just separate a lot faster. Okay. But you're starting to see that defined line. This one I will put a little bit more in when I'm doing it live, just because it does need time to separate a little bit. And we'll get that nice and full. There we go. Okay, just one more. Okay, so we're doing that. Now for our rubbing alcohol. Again, this is even a lighter liquid. And I'm just mixing around that dye a little bit. Okay. Nice and slow. Okay, so we have our red layer and then our last layer, which is that lamp oil. Again, right up against the side, nice and slow. And this one will have to separate out a little bit. So again, I put a little bit more than needed so it can separate out a little faster and the kids can see it when I do this live. Okay, there we go. And again, I would probably put a little bit more if I was just doing this live so you can see more defined layers, because again, the farther your audience is away from you, the less they're going to see that definition. But you can talk about each layer, how they build upon each other, take your time with it, practice it. And again, this is a really cool object lesson for defining those 7 layers of density and being able to apply that to our messages.